Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started. My name is Sherri Lauver. I'm a grants co-chair for Impact 100 Indianapolis. And I am new to this role. This is my first year in this role. I have been a focus area committee chair for two different groups for animals and environmental welfare, as well as health and wellness. And so now my role as a grants co-chair is to guide the process for nonprofit organizations to apply. And that begins with a letter of intent, and then it proceeds to a grant application for a small proportion of organizations, and then on to site visits and hopefully an award as a finalist and the final big award. So I'd like to introduce Beth Thomas. She's here with me today. Beth?
Hi, I'm Beth Thomas. I've been with Impact 100 since 2007, so been around a little bit. I was a focus area chair for several years, then joined the board as president. Served 2 terms, and so I have a little bit of history. So questions I can answer, I will try to answer as well as I can. This session is important. We will, as I think Sherri may have mentioned it, we will have copies of the PowerPoint stack will be available on our website, as will recordings. So if there's anyone else in your organization or you meet with other nonprofit professionals, feel free to send them to our website after tomorrow when we'll have this added. Thanks.
Thank you, Beth. And before we get started, I wanted to just update you on a few key things. First of all, our letter of intent process remains the same as prior years. So if you have submitted an LOI before, then you know what we're looking at. However, we are streamlining our grant process this year. We are in the process of doing that right now. So our grant application, should you be invited to proceed to that step, will look a little different and hopefully be a little bit more streamlined. So I wanted to give you a heads up on that. And with that, we will get started. Okay, so first off, just a little bit of history for those of you who are really brand new to Impact 100. We are a giving circle. There are chapters all over the country, and our goal as an organization in Indianapolis and the surrounding counties is to offer as many $100,000 grants as possible. We typically offer one, and then we have residual grants for other finalists that can range between $15,000 and $25,000. Our chapter began in 2006. So we've been pretty well established, and we've got many winners that we'll highlight on our next slide. So why join a giving circle? Well, it's a great way to build a network, to affiliate with others in your community, to learn more about the not-for-profit organizations that exist in our area, and to capitalize on your own and leverage your own purse, for a larger impact. It's great to be able to donate $1,000, combine that with others' money, and really make a very big impact for a local organization. We are a volunteer-run organization, and our membership dues, provide for these grants. And we, as volunteers, administer this process, and we are broken down into various committees, and you will be choosing a focus area to submit your grant application. Here is a list of all of our other prior Impact 100 winners from 2006 going forward, our most recent being NeuroHope of Indiana. We're just so pleased with all of the wonderful work that these organizations have done, and we remain in contact with all of them. If you're curious about our financials and our giving report, you can visit our website. It is available. You'll have the link right here from the PowerPoint deck, which will be available tomorrow. Are you eligible or not? That's one of the biggest, concerns you may have. So first and foremost, you must be a 501c3 or a 509A. You'll see that your seat of operation must exist in one of these counties: Marion, Hamilton, Hancock, Shelby, Johnson, Morgan, Hendricks, or Boone County in the state of Indiana. We are looking specifically for new programs, expansions of an existing program, or a joint effort of various agencies. We care about projects or programs that target a very specific population for a specific duration and with specific measurable goals. We really want you to use the full amount of Impact 100. We have had questions before: can I apply and just have $20,000? No, we really want you to think big enough to find something that's broad enough for the $100,000 grant. And you must spend that money within 2 years of award. And then capital projects must be clearly wrapped around a program that serves clients of your organization. We do not serve capital campaigns. Here's a list of other things that we do not fund. So I'll let you take just a minute and give this a brief look. And again, you will have this available later on. Okay, on to our focus area committees. So we have 5 areas in which you will choose to apply, and you really need to think about your project or program more than your organization. So we have arts, culture, and preservations. And this is initiatives that cultivate and enrich the theater, museums, visual and performing arts, and literary opportunities. And you can think, as broadly as possible about any of these areas. You just have to consider best fit. Environment and animal welfare. You'll see here, we're really thinking about how to enhance or restore the greater Indianapolis area, how to encourage research, public awareness, and education related to the environment, promoting conservation of our natural resources, revitalizing recreational facilities, and promoting animal welfare. Under education, these are initiatives that advance learning opportunities and improve education. Family, we're looking to improve and enhance the lives of children and families as broadly as possible. And finally, health and wellness, initiatives that improve mental and or physical well-being. You'll note in red that I do say base your choice on the project rather than the organization. And we'll be available to answer questions you have at the end about that. So we have a 4-step process. Your first step is just to determine if you meet our eligibility criteria, and then to determine where you feel you best fit in terms of your focus area. After that, you will submit a letter of intent, which is due in January. A certain and very small proportion of those letters of intent will be invited to write a full grant. I would say on average, for each focus area committee, there are 2 or 3 organizations invited. We really try and keep that as small as possible because it is a lot of work and we recognize that kind of burden. There have been situations where as many as 5 have been invited back, but we try and keep it as small as possible, especially for the smaller focus area committees. So full grant applications are due in March. Site visits, meaning we would arrive at your site to learn more about the work that you do, would occur in April. And that is not necessarily to every organization that has been invited to prepare a grant. And then final decision is by a vote of our membership at our annual celebration dinner on June 13th. There's a lot of detail on our website. You can certainly visit that for more information. It is all up to date. And generally speaking, we prefer to be a primary project funder. So, we know that sometimes you're pulling grant funds from various organizations. When possible, we really like to be the primary focus. So Letters of inquiry are due January 13th. The form is available on our website. Everything's online, so you don't need to download anything. You'll just want to follow the instructions, and you can save and work on this little by little. We ask that you please don't wait till the last minute, because if you have any kind of problem uploading it, it creates a little bit of chaos for us as volunteers. We certainly want to help. We want to mitigate any problems you have. So if you do that in a couple days surrounding that date, that makes our lives a lot easier. So we appreciate that. You must be a 501c3 or a 509A. So if you don't currently have that designation yet, you'll need to wait until next year. But it never hurts for you to at least get some information about this process today. And we will respond to your email letting you know that we've received your LOI. We typically receive about 70 to 100 of these. And then these LOIs are distributed to the appropriate focus area committees. And we've got teams of people who take them very seriously, review them very carefully, and discuss them. This is a new slide. I've added this because I think it's important for you to understand the criteria for which you're being evaluated. And I will say that as an organization, if you look at questions 1 through 4, we spend a lot of time talking about these when we come together at committee. Focus area committees say, is this project or program a response to an urgent and critical need in our community? Can we say, yes, it is? Or is it a bold new venture, something that is rare, unique, and would put us on the map across the United States? Is it an innovative way to solve a problem? Or does it create a more civil and respectful climate? So do you need to be able to say yes to all of these? No. Can you say a big yes to one of these questions? Yes. Please do that. Please make the case for that. We also care very much that your project or program aligns with your agency's mission. So we consider that when we review these applications. We obviously want to make sure that this program or project brings value to the greater Indianapolis community. And we want our $100,000 to make a real difference and not feel kind of like a drop in the bucket somewhere. We care that this is a sustainable project or program, that it's in it for the long haul, and that we believe it will be around 10, 20 years from now. And we care very much whether your agency has the organizational capacity to implement this project. So tell us about that. Tell us how you can do this effectively. Okay, so a little bit more about the letter of inquiry. Remember that you have to sell this committee on your concept. It doesn't need to have every little bit of detail in the world, but it should be clear and coherent writing. If you have a single friend or family member in the world who's willing to read it before you put it out the door, that would be wonderful. Because remember, you're talking to a large community of women coming from many different areas, backgrounds, contexts. Some of us know, a lot about education, but we might be on the health committee this year. So you're wanting talk to the general population, make a strong case for what you do, and don't assume that we know a lot about the work that you do. So spell it out pretty plain and clear, for a general audience. Unfortunately, we are not staffed to answer questions throughout this process. This can cause a lot of angst. You may feel, concerned that you're not doing something right. Today is your day to ask these questions, and we are depending on you to just make, good common sense choices about how to submit this application. We don't provide updates on the status of your LOI. I'm very sorry. I know it's hard, but with 75 of you and just me, it is too difficult for me to keep track of all of that and then be responding to emails. So, and please know that when the focus area committees are working, they spend about a month reviewing these LOIs. So there is some time in there where you're not going to hear anything and you're going to be wondering about the status. As we said, we end up with somewhere between 20 and 30 organizations that invite a full grant application. We're always trying to minimize that number as much as possible to reduce burden on all of you. And we will let you know in February whether your organization is going to be invited to go forward. I'm going to keep rolling on forward, everybody. The full grant application. This is an exciting moment when you hear you're going to be moving forward. As I said, we are going to be making some changes to the full grant application. We are midway through that process right now. We want to reduce burden and we want to promote equity. And that is our first, and that's what is driving us through this process. These full grant applications are due March 17th at 5 o'clock. Again, we go through a full committee review process. Then a few organizations would be invited to move forward for the purpose of a site visit. At the site visit, members of the committee would ask questions. They may want to see a particular program or project. If your organization doesn't have an official place, we can meet with you on Zoom. There's lots of ways that we can figure this out. So don't let that be a limitation to you. And then after the site visits, the committee votes again, and they nominate one finalist. And that all of the finalists will be expected to do a brief presentation at our annual celebration. Let's see. We are probably going to do some sort of what we call a big reveal in May, where we really highlight and celebrate all of our finalists at a venue that that allows for our members to meet and greet with you, ask you questions, that sort of thing. We don't have a date yet for that event, but we would certainly know that by early March. And then our annual celebration in June is June 13th. And I'm presuming that everything will be in person this year. Again, annual celebration. Everyone who attends the event has a vote. You can vote in absentia as well. Finalists each have 7 minutes for their presentation with no visual aid or handout. Our members vote on the spot. Then we have a $100,000 award made that evening, and residual grants are also made. I think this past year, our residual finalists were each given $20,000. There usually are some media at the event, and so opportunity for publicity and interview as well for that. What happens beyond the awards? There are reports due. These are pretty simple. They shouldn't take more than about an hour and a half, 2 hours of your life to complete a grant report on your project. The other 4 finalists provide one report at the end of the calendar year. The grant winners, prepares a report every 6 months. So if they're finished in a year's time, that's the end of it. Or if their grant extends out to 24 months, it would certainly go further. All 5 finalists are expected to attend several events during the year to update our membership about their work. And this is something I want to stress. We like involvement from our organizations, and we reach back to organizations like we just met with Rocksteady Boxing. They hosted an event. They were our winner several years ago. So just know that if you engage with us, there is some commitment, a longer term commitment to working with us. The benefit of that is getting your name out there with all of our members, and we're, 150 strong, sometimes more. I'd also recommend, if you're sitting here today thinking, gosh, this is really interesting, I'm not sure I'm ready yet for this, maybe next year, what I would recommend is joining Impact 100. Then you get a very insider lens on how this process works. You can be a member as long as you're not on an FAC committee that's reviewing that application. So let's say you work for a health and wellness program, you want to submit. As long as you're not sitting on the health and wellness committee this year, you can submit a grant application. It is $1,000 to become a member. However, we have a bunch of ways, creative ways to get to that $1,000. We have shared memberships, and sometimes that's 2 people coming together for a membership, 3 or 4, and we can even help you find your partners to share the burden of that $1,000. We also have scholarships. And so scholarships are available for women who are considering a career in philanthropy or new to not-for-profits. We love to get scholarship recipients involved in our processes, and we love to get new voices at the table. So that application is currently available and due in just a few days, December 12th at 5 p.m. It's available at our website. Okay, I'm going to stop now. I see some in the meeting chat that there were some questions rolling in, and Beth was handling a lot of those. I'm going to stop sharing now, and we can answer questions that you have. Please feel free to post them in the chat or just come off mute. Who's up first?
I'd be happy to be that guinea pig and go first. So my name is Kristen Call. I'm from Childcare Answers here in Central Indiana. And I think my big question is on the focus area groups. If we feel like we fall into multiple, any suggestions about how we decide which area in which to write the letter of intent?
Beth, I'm referring that question to you. Beth really has our history.
So there's a lot of things to consider. And I think, as Sherri said at the beginning, the main thing is who's going to benefit from what you're doing. So if it's you may be, for example, Indie Reads, and they are normally an adult literacy program, but they've decided to put something together where they're going to work with Pause and Think and bring animals in. They may then apply in the environment and animal welfare, because even though education sounds like it might make sense, the Pause and Think does things with shelter dogs and so forth, so they're helping the dogs. So sometimes you can be, you want to look at what the final, who's going to be finally helped. And I hope it's if you are struggling with it when you start working, you can contact either me or Sherri, but the best way is to just contact us through our email and tell us exactly what you're thinking, and we can help you that way. Does that help, Kristen?
That does. Thank you so much.
So the main thing is, I just want to say real quickly, is we get a lot of applications in some of the FACs and few in the others. So every once in a while we get somebody who says, oh, I'll be creative and I'll go, for example, in the environment and animal welfare. But if the project that you've proposed doesn't really fit in there, they probably are not going to ask it to move forward, because the people on the committee, that's not what they're looking for. So I hope that helps as well.
Beth, we have a second question in the chat. Does Impact 100 have a desire to fully fund a project versus a specific part of a project?
You know, that's a good question. It depends on the project. For example, if you were building an extra gymnasium onto, I'm just, coming up with something here. But so obviously $100,000 is not going to build a building. So we would be part of that. However, if you could, instead of just asking us to help by giving you $100,000 for that building, if you could say the lighting in the building is $100,000, could Impact pay for that? Now, you know, that allows us to have a chunk that I don't want to say own, because we don't, but I mean that we could point to and say we did that. Our very first project was getting a pharmacy open, and the pharmacy, like I say, we don't build it, but there were some final things that needed to be done that were hurdles for them to get that to where they wanted to go. So we got them over that final hurdle. So it's not that we don't want partial projects, it just makes it much easier. We don't want to be, I think the best thing to say is we just don't want to be a piece of a large project. We want to, the ladies like to be able to say, this is what we've done, and be able to make it something concrete. So if you look back through our previous winners, almost all of them, there's something concrete there. And if I didn't answer your question, please follow up.
And I can speak to our most recent awardee, Neuro Hope of Indiana. They were given $100,000, and they are in the process of creating the Impact 100 Wellness Center within their organization. They spent a good amount of money on fitness equipment, adaptive fitness equipment, creating the room, everything from the paint and the lighting and the equipment for the room and the carpeting, and then a portion of an instructor to help and guide activities. And they named it Impact 100, Wellness Center, which was really beloved by our members. So I think that's a nice example of how they did that. Obviously, their full facility is much larger than just that room. So
another good example of that is the Kennedy King Memorial, where Robert F. Kennedy gave the speech on the night that Martin Luther King was assassinated. We didn't pay for all of that. We, again, helped them get over a hurdle that got them to a point where they were able to do what they wanted to do with a part of that. So I hope that, and I see the next question, which, what are the requirements for finalists to recognize Impact 100? You are not required to put our name on anything. We do sometimes like to see maybe a plaque in the corner that says Impact 100 helped with this, or something along those lines, but we are not asking for naming rights. We are not asking for, anything to be named after us.
thank you, Beth. That's a very important clarification. I see another question that says, someone tells me that Impact 100 does not support organizations of a certain size. Is this correct?
So it is not. I will tell you that a large organization that comes to us and they want us to fund or like I said, put money into an existing fund to help it grow, but that's, and there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. But what we are here for is something that is innovative, different, gonna make a difference in our community. And it's not that large organizations don't give us that opportunity, but we want it to be something that can, not exactly stand alone, but something that we can see, and not see even, but something that we can say, Impact 100 did that. This is a group of women who consider themselves philanthropists or are trying to learn how to be a philanthropist. And again, we don't want our name necessarily, but we do want to be able to drive down the street. When I drive down Lafayette Road and I look and I see the pharmacy that we helped start. I can see Crane House that we helped get them past a hurdle. These are not, we don't do the whole thing always, but it is something that lets us be able to take a little bit of pride in something specific. And I hope, again, that I'm not just rambling, that I'm answering for you.
I would say from my perspective, it's not like Eskenazi Health, for example, couldn't apply to Impact 100. What I'm looking for is Eskenazi Health developing a really unique, really exciting, put us on the map kind of program. Maybe it's something for infants with special needs, and this is seed money that will help them a year out, go for a $2 million grant with somebody else. Like, we can get behind that if we think it's innovative and exciting and can really serve a very specific need in our community.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Eskenazi, because when they were Wishart, that is who actually built the pharmacy that we did for our very first grant.
Interesting. So. Okay, I did not know that. Okay, so I see a question here. Can funds be divided across the identified counties?
Yes, they can, as long as the dollars are spent within Marion County and one of the 8 donut counties, and can be, you can make it clear, the accounting can show that it stayed within those areas, then yes, definitely. It's not that we don't want to help with those, but that is just part of our promise to our philanthropist givers, the people who are involved. Their money will be spent in this area.
Okay, and I have someone who's asking, which focus areas typically receive the most proposals?
Oh, hi, Anita. It's, health, family, education, but that doesn't necessarily make them the right place. And one thing I do want to make really clear is many of our winners, few win on their first try. And I don't mean to say, I'm not saying that to discourage you. What I'm saying is every year, it's like they say about football, any given Sunday. Any year, yours could be the proposal that rises to the top. A good example is Indy Parks with their Indy Urban Acres. 5 times, 4 of those times a bridesmaid, but the 5th time they won. And each time they made a change, to something that helped the members kind of get over what their concerns were. And they will tell you that they feel that improved their project with our feedback and so forth. We have one organization that tried 10 times before they were the winner. And it's not, they actually came to us with different projects almost every year. But it's any given year, there's going to be possibly somebody who's just going to rise to the top, and that you never know who that's going to be.
Next question, does Impact 100 offer feedback when a proposal is denied?
If you request feedback, we will give you feedback. Our standard response does not normally include that, but anyone who asks for more information, we'll give that. And that, how detailed it is, depends on how much time and effort the committee chair can put into it. But we try to give them as much as we can. And I just go back to what Sherri said at the beginning, we are all volunteer. When I'm up at midnight on the night before the grants are due because somebody's having trouble with an application, it's because I want that application to get through. And not just because I like that person, I want every application to get through. But you have to remember that we are all volunteers. So sometimes it might take a while before somebody responds.
I can speak as a former committee chair. We took great pains to put together feedback for each organization. And if they asked for said feedback, it can be provided. I remember spending a full weekend writing up that feedback. So we're happy for somebody to use that feedback. It can provide insight. Any other questions? Maybe I've missed something. Feel free to come off mute if I have missed anything in the chat.
I just know I recognize several names of organizations and people. I see a couple of people who are past scholarship winners, Impact 100, or recipients, I should say. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that we want to fund everything. we would love to be able to do that. What it takes for us to do that is more members, so that we've got more money in the pot. You may not be aware, and if Sherri said it, I'll repeat it just because every year we give away 100% of the funds that we took in our grant money, 100%. That's why sometimes the checks that people walk away with have pennies. They're not even numbers. We divided 100,000 to the winner and the rest gets divided equally. And sometimes the board will take a vote and decide to take money out of our administrative costs to add to that grant fund so that there's more even for each of those residual community grants. But 100%. So what that means is the very next day we have to start building up so that we can give money away the next year. So there is no, foundation. It is grassroots every day asking people, do you want to be a member and do you want to give us some money? So, and we refuse to spend any money on staffing so that we can give as much as we can away. So that's just to, let you know that why it varies every year. Our goal is long-term to be able to give away 5 $100,000 grants, 1 in each of the focus areas. And then hopefully we would have even more where we could have lots of residual to go to others. But that's a long way down the way for our organization. So.
Well, I'll make 2 public service announcements. First of all, if you're sitting there and you're working in an organization with people who could benefit from an Impact 100 scholarship to participate in our process, please visit the website, grab that information and send it on to that person. Sometimes, especially our younger people, need a little encouragement to submit something like this, but we need people who are new to philanthropy to get involved and to lean in. So please encourage that. Second of all, if you're interested yourself in becoming a member of Impact 100, we do have our holiday social event tonight. Oh, Beth, where are we having this event? It's at 5:30. Is it the Athenaeum?
No, it's at the Propylaeum.
The Propylaeum.
Another one of those.
So
and the information is on our website.
Yes.
It's not too late. If you want to stop by, we'd love to have you. I want to answer John David Patrick's question, and that is, can you actually give 2 LOIs? I wouldn't give 2 LOIs to the same FAC because you'd be competing against yourself. But I have looked real quickly and I see no reason and nothing in our processes that says you cannot. So if you wanted to. Now, you could not propose the same idea to 2 FACs, but if you have 2 separate programs that you're working on in parallel, there would be no reason why you couldn't.
Beth, we have a question about, do you offer open house hours to get to know the members?
A time like tonight, and I know that's very late news, is one of those. We also have one in January where we'll be doing an orientation and a welcome to members. But I do have to say, when I was president, I would often have nonprofit organizations ask to meet with me. And, I really appreciated the offers. But it's very important for you to know there's no one person who has any impact on the decisions here. This is when the committee gets together, they read the LOI, they discuss it, they have criteria. That's one of the reasons it's nice for someone like yourself to be, if you can, to join and be on a committee. And we do have options for as low as $250 for that membership. There's no one person. It is a democracy. So we'd love to have you come meet us. I think you'd like people that are there. We're all very likable, I like to think, but it's not like getting to know somebody and buying them coffee and showing them a copy of your balance sheet or anything like that will have any influence on a final decision.
Thank you, Beth. I see a question. Will a program with 2 organizations collaborating together be considered? Does collaboration help?
Those are our favorites. And I just say that off the top because it's always been one of the things we watch for. I'm going to start over with that. One of the things we watch for is somebody trying to do something that's already being done very well by a nonprofit in our community, because if that's the case, then, you know, I hate to see division of people who are interested. Why can't they all work together? But it also, when we've got somebody who says, I'm wanting to start this, but I want to collaborate with that other organization, that becomes more interesting. And so we do look for collaboration. We do look for, like I said, the organization that tried 10 times before they won, every one of theirs was a collaboration with somebody that was doing something that they wanted to help. They wanted to provide a function or a piece of what they were doing. So I hope that answered your question, Madison.
And I can add there that on our committees, we've talked a lot about how the organization that's submitting the proposal is leveraging partnerships and collaboration in the community. Whether or not, you know, they're a vendor on the grant application is a different story. I don't think that's necessary, but, you know, are they leveraging some of the natural partners that they have in the community and branching out and building those partnerships, because that's a part of sustainability, long-term sustainability. So I see another question. How well developed does the project need to be described in the LOI? Is a budget included? Are milestone dates included?
Very good questions. At the LOI stage, we want to know what you're thinking more than concrete, we're going to be finished by this date. I tell organizations sometimes this is your chance for blue sky thinking. It's your chance to think, God, if we had $100,000, this is what we would do. But we do want at least a rough budget. We want to know, you know, we've had people apply and say, if you give me the money, this is what I will do with it. They don't have an organization yet. They're going to start one if we give them the money. It doesn't work quite that way. Can't be quite that ethereal, but it can be early, but you have to have done the research to know that it can be done.
Now I'm going to try and put a copy of the full LOI instructions right in our chat here. See if I can drop it in. Because when you're in the system and you're, you know, filling in information, you can't see the whole entire process and document. So this can help with that. So any other questions?
That link should be very helpful. You can see that is the LOI for this year. It says 2022. I just couldn't see any reason to resave it, just so it said 2023, because it's exactly the same.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us today, for your interest in Impact 100. We so appreciate your time. We'll make sure to get that PowerPoint and the recording of this session uploaded tomorrow, because very soon we're going to be headed off to our holiday celebration this evening. And please, if you'd like, join us tonight. I'll be there, Beth will be there, be plenty of other members there as well. And you're welcome to bring a guest as well.
Like I said, full details on that, location, parking, all that stuff is on our website. And all of this information that we've discussed will be on our website. And any questions that you have, you can send to us at our impact100indy@gmail.com email account, and someone will get back with you. Can't guarantee it'll be that day, but somebody will get back to you.
All right. Well, with that, we'll say our goodbyes. Thank you again. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.